More about the FUGU, but Senator Rachel Siewert from the Greens has started this media conference in Canberra.
Working on for, in fact, over 2 decades. So it's with mixed emotion that I stand here welcoming the announcement today, but with a degree of sadness that the announcement doesn't go as far as we would like to see, and noting that the Minister has made some glaring omissions. The Minister had a mandate from the Australian community to be bold, to really make announcements that are world-leading announcements. Because over 70% of Australians, and in particular Western Australians, supported marine protection and supported marine sanctuaries so that our marine environment is protected into the future. So he's missed that opportunity, and he's not, I think he's not fulfilling the mandate given to him by the Australian people. It is deeply concerning that the boundaries that the Minister has determined have been very strongly determined on oil and gas prospectivity and clearly determined by lobbying from the oil and gas sector. So it means that vital areas in the Kimberley, the Pilbara, Ningaloo, Margaret River and going into the southwest province further around Kangaroo Island have been excluded from marine protection because of oil and gas prospectivity. And you've got the ridiculous situation in Margaret River, of which we saw so much community unrest over the proposal to drill oil off the coast, where they're putting a no oil and gas zone here. You've still got a lease here, and magically is there some sort of boundary where oil will not go from any oil spill from any drilling into that area where oil and gas drilling and exploration is not allowed. Clearly a ridiculous situation that needs to be remedied. In terms of sustainable fishing, the industry is already jumping up and down and has been for some time, and yet the Minister says that only 1% of the GVP, the gross value of production, will be affected. The industry has been and will continue to run a scare campaign around these proposals, even though the impact has been lessened by the Minister determining boundaries that have less of an impact on the fishing industry. And it is really ludicrous of the industry to be campaigning so vigorously against marine protected areas and against sanctuaries, because it is in their interests that we have a world-class system of marine protection. We only have to look globally to areas around the North Sea, for example, to see what happens to fish stocks or see what happens to the fishing industry and the communities based around those industries when fish stocks crash. We don't want that situation in Australia. We want to see sustainable fisheries. We want to see the fisheries last into the future. And we also want to see the communities that are based on those industries sustained into the future. As part of the evaluation process and the community campaign, there was economic analysis done, for example, of the Southwest bioregional draft plan, which clearly showed that there are economic benefits from these type of proposals. Rather than the doom and gloom approach the fishing industry tries to take, there is actually economic benefits from ensuring adequate planning of our marine environment and adequate protection of important marine ecosystems. While this is a good start, there is a long way to go. The Minister and the Government needs to, we believe, take another look at the boundaries, particularly where we have the oil and gas areas that have been excluded, because we can't say that we have an effective area when such important areas in those zones that I've already mentioned have been excluded.
Are you worried that certain parts, particularly up in the Kimberley, could be susceptible to oil spills when certain parts have been left out?
There's a number of issues here. For a start, when we've got vital areas that have been admitted because of oil and gas prospectivity, you obviously don't have the right level of protection for those areas. Where if you look at the sort of areas that have already been released off the Kimberley area and of course in the northwest, and future areas that will likely be released because they have been excluded from the plans. If oil and gas is allowed to go ahead in some of these areas, they will very definitely impact on other other ecologically important areas, both those that have been excluded and those that have been included. We know that we have very important areas around the Kimberley. I was there just last week getting an update on the latest science and the latest research around the usage of whales and dolphins in that area, and it is quite obvious that these are important areas for cetaceans, let alone other important marine life. They should have been protected. It is a shame that they have been left out, and they would definitely be affected by any oil and gas leases. It is extremely lucky that the Montara spill that we saw a number of years ago did not more significantly impact other areas in the Kimberley. But unfortunately for that particular example, we don't actually know what impact it had because there was never any baseline studies done.
Okay, unfortunately we've got to leave that there. That was the Green Senator Rachel Siewert, live from Canberra, responding to the federal government's announcement this morning on a system of marine parks around the nation. The Greens say vital areas, particularly around WA, will not be protected because oil and gas exploration will be allowed. So we'll hear more on that through the day. Now, New South Wales is one